You've got 15 tabs open. Benchmarks, comparisons, best PC builds 2026, Reddit threads, YouTube videos, all saying something different. One tells you to max out your CPU. Another says GPU is everything. Someone else says if you're not future-proofing, you're wasting money. And somehow after all that, you're even more confused than when you started. And here's the uncomfortable part. You're probably about to build the wrong PC. Not because you picked bad parts, but because you're chasing the wrong idea of what perfect actually means. Look, in 2026, the idea of a perfect PC is kind of broken. Not because it doesn't exist, but because most people define it completely wrong. They think it means the most powerful components, the highest benchmarks, the biggest numbers. But that's not what makes a system feel fast, smooth, or reliable. Here's the thing. The perfect PC in 2026 isn't the most powerful one. It's the one that's balanced, efficient, and actually aligned with what you do every day. And yeah, I know that sounds less exciting than dropping thousands on top-tier hardware. But stick with me, because once you see this clearly, it changes how you approach everything. Let's start with a simple question. Why do people upgrade in the first place? It's usually because something feels off. Maybe games stutter, maybe apps lag, maybe everything just feels a bit slower than it should. So naturally the solution seems obvious. Buy better hardware. But here's what's interesting. Multiple performance studies and telemetry data from system monitoring tools consistently show that a large percentage of slow PC complaints, often over 60%, aren't caused by weak hardware at all. They're caused by inefficient system behavior, background processes, poor configurations, driver issues, storage bottlenecks, things that don't show up in flashy benchmark charts. So people upgrade, and the system still doesn't feel right. That's where the problem starts. Let me paint you a picture. You build what you think is a perfect PC. High-end CPU, powerful GPU, fast memory. Everything looks great on paper. You boot it up, launch your favorite game, and yeah, the FPS is high. But then you notice something weird. Small stutters, slight delays, that off feeling you can't quite explain. And now you're confused. Because technically, this system should be perfect. But it doesn't feel perfect. That gap, that difference between what a PC should feel like and what it actually feels like, that's what most people never fix. And that's exactly what defines a perfect PC in 2026. Not raw power, not specs, but how efficiently everything works together. Think of it like this. Your PC isn't just a collection of parts, it's a system. And a system is only as strong as how well its pieces interact. You can have the fastest CPU in the world, but if your system is feeding it data inefficiently, it's like having a genius stuck in traffic. The potential is there, but it's not being used. Here's another way to look at it. Imagine building a high-performance car. You install a powerful engine, but the tires are worn, the suspension is off, and the fuel system is inconsistent. Is it a fast car? Technically, yes. But does it perform well? Not really. That's exactly what happens with most PCs. And the frustrating part? People don't realize it. Because everything they've been taught says, more power equals better performance. It doesn't, not anymore. In 2026, hardware is already incredibly capable. Even mid-range systems can handle most workloads smoothly, if they're configured correctly. So the difference between a good PC and a perfect one is no longer just the parts. It's everything around them. Let's break that down. A perfect PC starts with balance. Not overkill, not underpowered, balanced. Your GPU should match your target resolution and performance goals. Your CPU should be strong enough to keep up, not dominate. Your memory should be sufficient and stable, not excessive for the sake of numbers. Your storage should be fast and reliable, not just large. But balance alone isn't enough, because you can have perfectly balanced hardware and still end up with a system that feels slow. That's where efficiency comes in. Modern operating systems are complex. You've got background services, startup programs, update schedulers, telemetry, driver layers, power management systems. It's not just a machine, it's an ecosystem. And if that ecosystem isn't managed properly, it creates friction. Small delays, inconsistent behavior, hidden latency, the kind of issues that don't show up in benchmarks, but you feel every time you use your PC. And this is where most people go wrong. They measure performance with numbers, FPS, benchmarks, scores. But real performance isn't just numbers, it's consistency, responsiveness, stability. A perfect PC doesn't just score high, it feels instant. Let me give you a real-world comparison. Two systems, identical hardware, same CPU, same GPU, same RAM. One is clean, optimized, properly configured. The other is cluttered, startup apps everywhere, outdated drivers, background processes running constantly. The difference? Sometimes 20 to 40% in real-world responsiveness. Same hardware, completely different experience. That's not a hardware problem. That's a system problem. So when people ask, what does a perfect PC look like in 2026? The answer isn't a list of parts. It's a philosophy. A perfect PC is one where nothing is fighting against itself. No unnecessary processes slowing things down. No mismatched components creating bottlenecks. No inefficient settings holding back performance. Everything works together, cleanly and predictably. And once you understand that, something interesting happens. You stop chasing upgrades because you realize that most of the time, your system already has the potential. You just haven't unlocked it. Now, that doesn't mean hardware doesn't matter. It does. But it should be the final step, not the first. You start by understanding your needs. What do you actually do on your PC? Gaming, competitive play, content creation, general use. Each of these has different priorities. And the perfect PC for one person can be completely wrong for someone else. Then you build around that. You choose a GPU that matches your target resolution and performance expectations. Not the most expensive one, the right one. You pair it with a CPU that can keep up without being excessive. You add enough memory for stability, not just for numbers. You choose fast, reliable storage. That's your foundation. Then you optimize. You clean your startup processes. You remove unnecessary background apps. You ensure your drivers are consistent and properly installed. You configure your power settings for performance, not just efficiency. You monitor how your system behaves, not just how it scores. And suddenly, everything feels different. Not because you bought something new, but because your system is finally working the way it should. That's the moment most people are chasing without realizing it, that wow feeling. And here's the surprising part. Once you reach that point, upgrading becomes more meaningful. Because now, your system isn't holding itself back. Every improvement you add is actually used. That's what a perfect PC looks like in 2026. Not the most expensive build, not the most powerful setup, but a system that's balanced, efficient, and fully optimized for what you do. So if you're planning your next build or thinking about upgrading, pause for a second, ask yourself, am I trying to buy performance or build it properly? Because one costs more money, the other gives better results. And the best part, you can start right now, not by buying something new, but by making what you already have better.